Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News. Welcome to the Nightly News. How y'all doing? See how many people we have up in the 19th growing. Blessed Wednesday. I got my frog throat. Made myself some tea for my frog throat. I don't know what's going on. I keep getting the frogs right around this time too. Which is usually Monday and Tuesday of this week. I was doing the Canon of St. Andrew. So of course I've got to get a frog before I've got to pray and do all the stuff. But last night I figured out I brewed some tea at church right before I had to do all the prayers for the Canon of St. Andrew. And it actually worked. It cleared it right up. So I'm trying it again. Ooh, dog. Welcome, everybody. What is going on? Go ahead and share this. Let's get some more people in here. We've got a great night. I haven't done Nightly News for a while. And so we're back. Back for some more Nightly News. I wanted to announce something. It's come to my attention. I started noticing that I'm stuck in my subscribers right around 8.4K or 8.6K or something like that, and it hasn't grown. So I made an announcement the other day, and I received messages from multiple people that they have been unsubscribed, and the subscribers don't get anything in their feed. So it is as I expected. I am being targeted, and my subscribers are being taken away, and my channel's not growing. And those who are subscribed don't get any announcements. I was also told that our Father, Spirit and Bailey on Patristic Faith 2 is having similar problems, and you've probably heard about this too with other channels, usually larger channels than mine. So, whatever. If I can get your help by trying to overcome that. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and let's get those numbers up. All right. If you're not part of the YouTube Partners Program, what is a Partners Program? They will not help you at all. Do you have to get jabbed? Turns out I wasn't jabbed, and that's why I'm losing all my subscribers. That's the Partners Program. Buy the ticket, take the ride. Okay, let's see. It is Lent. What do we have stored for today? By the way, I'm going to include where is it? I had it in here, the super chat link. So that if you guys want to send questions, little didge my way, so I can take up your questions during the stream, go ahead and send it right there. Your donations are much appreciated and obliged. Okay, let's begin tonight. Lord have mercy. It is Lent, and so I wanted to share something with you. What I think and believe would be a wonderful Lenten movie. Я все не калапи, я туди буду. Oh, Lord have mercy. How awesome is that? And the cinematography on that is just incredible. Yeah, Mount Athos. Oh, what a shame that I was in Greece last month and I wasn't able to go to Mount Athos. We just didn't have enough time, to be honest, with the conference. If you're going to go, you want to spend more than one night there. So I had planned to actually return. Yeah, it's great. All right, what do we got going? How many people? 33. Isn't that a Mason number? Let's get that. Let's get that number changed. Got 33 current viewers right now. Anyways, I think that would be a great documentary to watch. I thought the cinematography was fantastic for that. And yeah, great Lenten movie. I'll have to see when it's coming out. Yeah, good Lent to you all. The Lenten demons have been quite busy. It's been, but you know, that's part of the reason why we start the canon of St. Andrew all this week, is to really just prepare ourselves for warfare against them. Yeah, we're back up to 38. Welcome, everybody. What do we have going for today? Let's check it out. I want to start by covering the news. Yep. Has anyone noticed how the narrative is shifting? Have you? Lockdowns were discredited last year. The Cochrane study showed masks didn't work. The Lancet just published an article stating natural immunity was as good as, if not better than, the jab. And now this. Ladies and gentlemen, we now know. The BBC has now told us. Richard Dawkins from his Windsor castle in his evil science labs has told us. FBI Director Christopher Wray says COVID origin most likely from Chinese lab. Oh, I thought that was a conspiracy theory. There's more stuff about this too that maybe later. What say you guys? I mean, it's something you all knew all along, right? Now we're down to 30. Is the news starting off that boring? That 29? What's going on? Where's everybody going? Nobody else is streaming at the time, are they? All right, I'm gonna step it up. Let's see what we got going here. Let's do a little bit of humor, shall we? You can't see it yet. The humor is I laugh and you try to figure out what I'm laughing at. Anybody? Okay, I'll share it. I'll share it. If Star Wars were made today, Chongus, look at totally carved out. But I'm hungry. Trans solo. Yeah, no diversity. Let's see what else people. One of them needs blue hair. Yeah, non-binary, blue hair. Let's see what else. The Wookiee would be a human who identifies as a Wookiee. The canolas. Where's Luke's rainbow wit? Like Chevy Chase and the 2015 Vacation remake. Yeah, he got a bit carved out, didn't he? So that's just a little bit of humor there. I thought it was funny. I don't have my Spindrift. I do have non-alcoholic beer since it's Lent. I'm giving up alcohol. It is called Athletic Club. Pretty good. What y'all drinking? I'm just trying to looking to see what you guys are saying there in the chat. Yeah, the fat acceptance has become something, and that's concerning. The sin of gluttony. Exactly. All the sins are being celebrated. It's Yeah, great to hear that Father Seraphim Rose is now Saint Seraphim Rose canonized in Georgia. The other jurisdictions hopefully soon to follow along. All right, what do we have next on tonight's agenda? Let's turn to world politics. Actually, let's turn to Father Deacon Ananias in the weather room. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is a warm day here in Montana. Helena reporting right now 30 degrees. And yes, in Montana that is warm. The kids are all out in shorts. I kid you not. No pun intended. I'm not joking. If it gets up to the 30s or 20s, people are in shorts. Okay, New York is 40 degrees and cloudy with a low of 31. Minneapolis 26 and cloudy, low of 21. Fullerton, California, next to Disneyland and Anaheim, 50 degrees, low of 43. So that's fairly chilly weather for Southern California. Big Bear Lake, snowing. It's 16 degrees. So Southern California is getting a lot of snow down pretty low. Snow is being reported as low as 2,000 feet. Kalispell, 28 in Montana. Houston, a nice 75 degrees, mostly cloudy. Phoenix, 54 and raining. Costa Mesa, California, 49 degrees and sunny. Athens, 54 degrees and cloudy with a low of 52 and a high of 62. Shout out to all the Greeks out there. Volos, I have at 50 degrees. That's your weather report here at the Nightly News. Of course, I could go through more, but those are just some of the ones that I have programmed into my phone. All right, let's turn back to world politics. Somebody says, fat chance, Luke Skywalker. Before we turn to, I'm going to continue the humor. And before we move to world politics, which never seems to be humorous, let's lift our spirits. And let's take a trip down memory lane. Some of you might remember this. It has to have been... How many years ago was this? More than 6 years ago. This must have been... I feel like this was like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Royal Oak, a car smashes into an Arby's. Do you remember this story? This news story? And one of the Arby's workers comes out and ends up being a weirdo. Later, we find out he's being interviewed. He's a Satanist. How many people remember this story? We're back at 33 viewers. Dang you, Masons. Ah! The Masons attacking. Okay, we're up to 34. We're beating them off. All right, so I'm going to play this for you. And you might remember this. This guy that comes in. All right, ready?
It went pop, and it was just glass everywhere. That was the loudest bang I had ever heard. It sounded like an explosion.
I thought perhaps the end of days was upon us, but it turned out it was just a disoriented old lady in a champagne-colored Toyota Avalon, crashing into my world like DNB circa 1996. Who's got their claws in you, my friend? Into your heart I'll beat again.
Just before 2 p.m., an elderly woman drove into the side of the restaurant while trying to park her car.
Here he is again.
I turned around. A little old lady had stepped on the gas instead of the brake and ran into the restaurant.
She hit 3 people who were sitting down and eating inside. They were thrown 8 to 10 feet.
I saw their bodies tossed skyward, like ragdolls thrown into the air by the late great Andre the Giant. I don't know. They appeared to be weightless, hitting zero-G like the fearless crew of a forgotten Apollo mission, whose only objective was to obtain a beef and cheddar classic and return home to Kathleen Quinlan safe before sundown. I don't know. Part of me wishes I'd been hit by that car instead. So I could have gotten out of work early and gone far, far away from shift manager Masha's judging emerald eyes. No, I didn't wash my shirt in between shifts, Masha. So what if I smell like roast beef? This whole place smells like roast beef.
The fire department transported all 3 to the hospital and tell us that the man and 2 women who are in their 30s and 40s appear to have non-life-threatening injuries.
And they just keep letting this guy back on. Like,
a look of elderly bloodlust spread across her wrinkled face, and it made me dare to think perhaps this was no accident. Perchance she was compelled to steer her beige battering ram into the house that Beef built, driven not by force of this earth, but of an earth below. An earth that mirrors ours in almost every way, except the reflections are so much darker that many miles down. Some know the reflected realm to be the netherworld. Others know it as the abyss. I know it as the shadow zone. A world where the blackness of our sin stares back at us and merely laughs. Ha 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 ha. A world where God's law governs no man. A world where there is no literal or figurative Mr. Belvedere given any authority to teach us right from wrong. A world where we are loosed and given leathery wings charred like brisket to soar high above the judgment of the well-pressed, dry-clean, shift-managing elite. A world where I am elevated to my true pagan animal form and I take flight, known only as the winged demon, Dead Dreadmore. And I fly high above the puritanical regime, anointed by the oil of our beast lord, singing, I'm the king of the castle, and you're the dirty rascal. Crash into me. Crash into me.
I don't know.
I don't know. Arby's is pretty cool.
The fire department tells me that...
Oh my goodness. Do you remember that? Who remembers that? Oh, what an amazing drug methamphetamines are. That guy. The house that Beef built. Yeah. I don't know. And he looks like he's gonna like start to like laugh, like I don't know. And he pulls himself together, like I remember. The dude's dialed in. Perchance, yeah. What about actually, my wife and I just watched a documentary on this, but you'll remember how many people remember Kai? Anybody? You know what I'm talking about? Fill in the blank. Kai the... Fill in the blank. Hatchet-wielding hitchhiker. Smash! 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 Yeah, we gotta watch Kai.
I'm one of the heroes.
Yeah. Can we talk to you? Do you mind?
What do you want to talk about?
What happened today?
Well, went straight out of Dogtown, skateboarding, surfing it up, Before I say anything else, I want to say no matter what you've done, you deserve respect. Even if you make mistakes, you're lovable. And it doesn't matter your look, skills, or age, or size, or anything.
Look skills.
You're worthwhile. No one can ever take that away from you. Now, this stuff right here, I was driving and I was in the passenger side of this fucker's car, and he comes over on there. He was over by the recycling center. He says, "Oh, when I was in the Virgin Islands, 30 years old on a business trip, I fucked this 14-year-old." I was like, "You what?" He's like, "I raped this 14-year-old." Starts crying, gives me a big hug. He's like, "Fucking 300-pound guy." I'm like,
I'm gonna
"Holy
fast
shit.
forward.
You must be fuckered, man. Like, a
he's
hell
got
of
a
a lot
potty
of
mouth.
bodies around here. Fucking, I hop up."
Gee whiz. All right.
He runs up and he grabs one of them, man. Like a guy that big can snap a woman's neck like a pencil stick. So I fucking ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash. Yeah.
The lady.
Turns out, Kai ends up being an actual killer and is now life in prison if you haven't seen the documentary. But everybody loved Kai, right? Everybody fell in love with Kai. Thought he was hilarious. Makes it on to like Jimmy Kimmel and stuff like this. We're all cracking up. Meanwhile, he's going berserk in his mind, right? Just plotting the next person he's going to kill. I think in the documentary it says the guy that actually attacks the woman that he's talking about that supposedly he saved, right? He'd given this guy a bunch of drugs. So now he's actually caused this and then makes himself look like the hero. Yeah, and then, how'd you kids, how'd you what? All right, is that enough? Is that enough comedy? It says, heads up, we've detected copyright audio or video in your stream. So? Your stream may temporarily be blocked. No! Come on. Whatever happened to fair use? Copyright. Better not been the Orthodox. That always makes me upset. Okay, now to geopolitical news. Come on. 2014, CNN reporter reports that Ukraine president was killing his own people in Donetsk. Why are Ukrainian, but they kill us, so probably need to our own country. So that's just a reminder. In 2016, of course, but Russia started it, right? By seizing government buildings. Anyways, you'll see the same goofuses here. The NAFO, NATO's, and here, and moving on to more geopolitics. We find here, what is it that President Zelensky is promising? He's now stating the obvious. If the war escalates,
send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war, and they will have to fight. Because it's nature that we're talking about, and they will be dying, God forbid, because it's a horrible thing.
So we're not only going to send them more money, even though we can't take care of our country, we're going to send our sons and daughters to be sacrificed to the beast, Zelensky. There you go. He's not even hiding it at this point. He's killing Orthodox Christians, banning Orthodoxy. Now he requires not only more money, but the blood of American children. What do you think about that? Yeah, the gay comedian moment. Smash, smash, smash! Moving on in a similar vein, what is this? We turn it over to our news correspondent, Jay Dyer. Let's see what's going on here.
Business.
Oh, that was kind of cool.
Business.
Business. I'm going to make a new song. Our news correspondent on the ground in Donbass right now, Jay Dyer. Jay Dyer, can you hear us? Jay Dyer's audio has gone out, but he is tweeting us. Well, now we know what all this is really about. Sudden thesis vindicated. Thank you, Jay. We really appreciate the work that you're doing out there in such dangerous climate with all the haters and critics. And we just want to give you a big shout out and thank you for keeping the news going and give us the facts on the ground, Jay. Jay, can you hear it? Jay! We lost Jay, guys. But we do have his video that he's released from the Donbass war zone. Let's see.
Become the locomotive that will once again push forward global economic growth. We have already managed to attract attention and have cooperation with such giants of the international financial and investment world as BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs, such American brands as Starlink or Westinghouse.
No! They got our favorites. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock. Why, Lord, why?
Or Westinghouse have already become part of our Ukrainian way. Your brilliant defense systems, such as HIMARS or Bradleys, are already uniting our history of freedom with your enterprises. We are waiting for Patriots. We are looking closely at Abrams. Thousands of such examples are possible. And everyone can become a big business by working with Ukraine.
Oh my goodness. Rip Jay Dyer, thank you for sending us that essential piece of news, the breaking news on the front lines. Memory eternal. Okay, what's going on in the chat? 43. It's so insane. And it's so vindication. Welcome to Class Vindication 101. I am your host, Father Deacon Ananias from the Norwegian Nous, being vindicated for the 10th millionth time with our correspondent, Josephus Dyer, our news correspondent, our woman news correspondent, Rachel Wilson. Thank you, Rachel. We really appreciate you getting some of the news to the nightly news tonight in such dangerous and yet hilarious times. What else do we have for tonight? Let's turn to Hollywood, shall we? With our Hollywood news correspondent. Who's our Hollywood news correspondent? Who wants to step up and be our Hollywood news correspondent? Patristic Faith is putting out ads right now, taking interviews. But let's turn to Hollywood, shall we? Turning to Hollywood right now with more acting. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the finest actors, the Secret Service. Okay, so here we have, watch the clip again. Not a single one of the Secret Service reacts to the air raid siren. Well, we need some audio for that. So let's bump the audio. I wish I could find the one where they're like staging a war where people are getting shot and stuff. If I come on to, I thought I included. There was another one that I had in here too that was like a set. Maybe I could find it real quick. Another Hollywood set. I think I know where it is. I just gotta pull it up for you real quick. Oh, I put it under the, that's why. Why is Biden sitting in a stage set? Is he getting his 7th booster? And what is in the syringe? It's adrenochrome. We all know that. Staged. It is all staged, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to play something from a movie, but now I realize from David Lynch, Mulholland Drive, but then I realize I'll get copyrighted. I get a copyright strike for that one for sure. I don't know about the other ones that I did, but I'll just play it out for you. No banda. All is an illusion. Do you remember that scene? No banda. All is an illusion. All right, let's all right, Seraph Goose is our news correspondent, Hollywood liaison news correspondent. You get it. Absolutely. Let's see. Let's just check real quick. Any super chats? I want to take any of your important questions here. Help me raise funds to send to the Ukraine. Come on, guys. We need more money to Ukraine. So we can prolong this war as long as possible. So more people can die. Do you see? They're sacrificing to the gods of the nations, the demons. More lives, says the demon of Ukraine. I'm not satisfied with the blood yet. Let's just keep this going. And then somebody says, Demon, have you ever thought about contacting Goldman Sachs? Chase Morgan Bank? I heard they really could. And there you go. See how it's all tied together? Moving on, in the propaganda machine, we have more news. Ladies and gentlemen, this just in. 7% of Americans now identify as gay. Can you believe that? 7.2. Father Michael Lilly correctly points out the propaganda is working. Who's the highest? Gen Z. I'm 19.7. 20% of Gen Zers identify as gay, as sodomites, as civic sodomites, ladies and gentlemen. The traditionalists. Are there any traditionalists left? Before 1946. Well, that would be, if my grandparents were alive, that would have been. But baby boomers is the next. Baby boomers. Lowest. Well, I feel good because I'm in Gen X. And, looks like Gen X is holding it steady from 2014 to 2022. There's really not any increase. But I'm sorry, millennials. What we have learned tonight, millennials and Zoomers are gay. They've turned gay. Now, that is just amazing. What do you think about that? Either the stats are totally skewed, and it's propaganda, because it was always less than 2%, or the propaganda is working. There are studies. Well, you have to keep this in mind that the traditionalists, those born before 1946, had no TV, and TV was introduced. They had radio. Then comes the boomer generation. Right? They grew up, and maybe even some of them in the early didn't had, TV being introduced. They didn't grow up with, but they, for the most part, grew up with television. That's why every boomer believes we went to the moon. They believe the Cold War. They believe all the propaganda because they're some of the most gullible when it comes to those things. What do you mean? My TV told me that the jabs work. My TV told me the space aliens are coming. Wait, and now you're telling me they're not? That sounds kind of anti-American to me. Then comes the Gen Xers, my generation. We didn't have the internet, no cell phones. The internet's being introduced in our lifetime. We had no video games. Video games were introduced as we were growing up. So we had do you see what I'm saying? We had a life apart from those things. And then it slowly started to come in. So, especially in developmental, the crucial developmental years, we didn't have that. Then Gen X, the first generation to be born literally in the internet. They're formed. In sin did my mother conceive me, as the psalm says, the psalmist. And then, obviously, the Z generation with all the social media and apps, TikTok. By the way, Montana is passing a bill banning TikTok up here. And then, that might not be a surprise to a lot of you, because the military and government's banned that for their employees for the last 5-6 years, something like that. No, it was a spy device. Told some of my students and they couldn't believe it. They thought I was joking. I'm like, why would I be joking about? And then the other students were correcting me, like, oh yeah. Then I told them I made a mistake. Turns out the service provider, the internet provider, can be fined here in Montana up to $10,000. But I scared them and told them, I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to be coming after you. That if you're found using it, each one of you are going to be fined $10,000. It was so funny. So anyways, we don't know, going back to my original point, we don't know what this type of technology and being constantly plugged in. What we do know is the sort of kind of dopamine hits, right, that it's creating. But the kind of new networks are being formed, new ways of thinking that aren't necessarily positive. And we're dealing with neuronal chemicals, right? And that's shaping the way that we think, we relate with one another. And what they found is, the first thing that I started noticing is, way back in the day, is millennials seemed effeminate. I started having a hard time telling them, like, is the guy gay or is he just, kind of effeminate? And this has just progressed, right? It's science. Science has progressed, and people are becoming more effeminate. And, hey, Posh, good to see you. Yeah. Thanks for the shout out, everybody. Say hello to Posh, and blessed evening. Almost morning, man. It's got to be. Anyways, back to my point. So, we do see a rise in people identify as sodomites. Now it's 7%. And then you saw 20% in Zoomers. And there's actually published medical papers that are saying that it's multiple, so it's not any one cause. You can find papers, polypharmacy, right, that were over-medicated. Propaganda, right, which the schools are great at. That is Hollywood, corporate America, media, education. They're feeding you all this while they're feeding you all this medication, right? Over-medicating you, which I have scientific papers going all the way back to the 60s of experimenting. Some of this is actually then later tied to the MK Ultra experiments of medications that make you highly susceptible to suggestion. But the social media itself, they're finding, is rewiring and actually effectively making people gay. So it's a multi-attack, I think. So that's why. That's why we encourage a pushback against that. don't always be plugged into these things. They're rewiring the way that you think. One of the things that I notice, and we clergy are going to have to deal with, is that, how many times do we hear that the young Zoomers, they can't find any women, a good Orthodox woman? And then when you actually have the situation set up, they don't even know how to talk to her. They know how to talk to her on this. Why? Because the virtual world has become the standard for reality, and now reality is the virtual world. So that's already one instance in which it's affected normal relations. Not to even mention what pornography is doing to the brain and relationships. So I think that's why you're seeing these kinds of things. So again, we really need to encourage back to life, back to reality. Who sang that song, by the way? Help me out. For 500 points, who sang back to life, back to reality? All day I've been thinking of songs and I can't put names to them. I'll play another game with you too. And I was doing it with my wife. I was probably driving her crazy. And she couldn't figure out. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. Before I say it, I'm going to see if anybody can get it. Soul to soul, you got it. That's what we need. We need back to life, back to reality principles, real relationships, hard work, testosterone building, and among men, not women. Right? If the genders are being blurred, we need to put it back, right? Women are women, men are men, doing the women thing, and the men are doing the men things. We're having real communities. Because it's biblical, that's right. Okay, I'm going to give you another one. It's an 80s... I know this. It's an 80s TV show. And I cannot, for the life of me... I know the tune, and I'm going to hum the tune, but I can't think of what 80s TV show it is. You ready? Bump, 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 ba-da, bump, 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 ba-da-na-na-na, bump, 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 ba-da-na-da-na-na-da-na-na-da-na-dum, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-bop, ba-da-da-da-ba-ba. Something like that. Is it Perfect Strangers? It can't be Perfect Strangers. It's not MacGyver. It's not Magnum P.I. It almost sounds like a Magnum P.I. Do 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 do. Is it Quantum Leap? Is it? Hold on, I'm gonna figure this out. You might be. You know what? You might be right. It might be Quantum Leap. Ugh! Quantum Leap theme song. How many people will vote for Quantum Leap? Alright, I gotta hear this. Please, God, be... No, it's not. Or maybe it is. Who else has ba-da-da-bump, ba-da-bump, ba-da-da-da-da-da? All right, here's the quantum leap, dude. Talk about science.
Time, who appears in the form of a hologram that only Sam can see and hear. And so Dr. Beckett finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what...
I just figured out the plot to this. I mean, come on. All right, look at this. I want to rewind this.
And driven... Beckett stepped into the quantum, theorizing that one could time travel within his own lifetime. Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the quantum leap accelerator and vanished. He awoke to find himself trapped in the past, facing mirror images that were not.
It's not about science at all. I totally figured this out. Here's just a dude that had taken a bunch of LSD, right? He wakes up.
Himself trapped in the past.
He's trapped. He feels trapped in the past. He's just having this amazing psychedelic experience, right? He thinks he's a scientist, right? That's developed. I mean, tell me this is not an acid trip, right?
Mirror images that were not his own, and driven.
He's even he's even going through gender dysphoria right there.
And driven by an unknown force.
Driven by an unknown force, the demon,
for the better.
The psychedelic demon.
His only guide on this journey is Al, an observer from his own time, who appears in the form of a hologram that...
Give me a break. Of course he's on LSD. My best buddy from the past, who nobody can see, who only appears in the form of a hologram.
Only Sam can see.
Only Sam can see,
And so Dr. Beckett finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping each time that his next leap will be the leap home.
Incredible acid trip. Here's his out-of-body experience. His ego death right here. He's totally gone insane. He is beyond the pale of any decent restraint or reasonableness. Look at him. He's out there playing Kiss, shooting M60 machine guns, thinking he's leaping in quantum. He thinks he's a doctor of science. There you go. That is my film analysis of Quantum Leap. What do you think? It just dawned on me when I was watching. I'm like, wait a minute. Where have I seen these thoughts from before? Yeah, they have to they have to put in, obviously, she's going all the way back, this cross-dressing. So they're preparing us to embrace the Transformers. I was even thinking that crazy cult film. One second. I've got it. The Rocky Horror Show. Are you kidding me? I don't know why that was not more scandalous when it came. transvestite vampire. Well, they're speaking truth through fiction, ladies and gentlemen. Hollywood. All right, where was I? Oh, it was quantum leaping into your mind, living rent free in your mind through my quantum. I've already built. Look at this. See my quantum. Whoa! I'm a quantum. What year am I in? I've just been drinking this ayahuasca tea and I quantum leaped into a lady's body. Whoa! That's science. All right. Enough with that. Let's return back to the news. Next up, I'm just going to go with this theme. Not on the quantum theme, but on the Transformer theme. More than meets the eye. Next up on the more than meets the eye. Based. Moscow. Orthodox University refuses to issue diploma with a transgender who wants their new name. I thought it was more obviously an Orthodox university, but I thought it was like all the universities in Moscow. That'd be a Roycian girl, 27, legally changed her sex and received a passport with a new name. Then wanted to obviously get her diploma with her new made-up name. And they said, nope. Nope. Oh, dude, this is based. Where can we get t-shirts like this? Would you wear one? Would you wear one around your... I've seen better, though. But that's kind of a cool idea. Patristic faith apparel. Fighting the culture wars and evil through merch and t-shirts. Moving on. On and on and on and on and on we go. A little bit different news. This is happening a lot. Radix Verum gets swatted. A lot of our friends have been swatted. Not cool. I'm just surprised something bad really hasn't happened. Somebody hasn't. This is supposed to be Antifa. The brown shirts. FBI of the Democrat Party. Antifa together with their cronies, the FBI, which they're probably FBI feds anyways. But that's sad. I don't even know how to prevent this stuff from happening. Because they'll use they've got these like computers too, or they've got this technology where they can sort of like a VPN, right, where you can have it like look like it's coming from somewhere else. So I don't know what you do about that. Yeah, Rachel got swatted. I'm glad Rachel and Andy are safe. And maybe they have some ideas of how to stop this from happening before somebody gets hurt. Let's look and see if we have any super chats before I move on. Yes, we do. I can feed my family now. Son of Aaron donates $10. Thank you, Son of Aaron. Skål. Skål. Hi, Father Deacon. Is there any one particular atonement theory the Orthodox subscribe to? My evangelical coworkers call me Catholic for not subscribing to penal substitution. Where does Orthodoxy stand on PSA? PSA is a heresy. And so we don't reject that. We reject that. What we don't reject and what we would embrace would be Christus Victor. So our soteriology is completely wrong. I've gotten in arguments with these people. They always put them in a dichotomy, right? But there's a lot of stuff in the background. Kind of presuppositions, like a lot of things that they presuppose. They don't have a concept of universal human nature, recapitulation of nature. And so they end up working out these models that are, first of all, ahistorical in terms of the church, but they're just faulty. Like, that's not how and then they read back into those terms their own kind of paradigms and stuff like that. So, and then if you don't subscribe to Arma, then you subscribe to the Roman Catholic merit-based, or like, it's just stupid. I'm tired of arguing with those people. But thank you for sending the Didge. Appreciate that, and a blessed Lent to you. Yeah, they're just it's like reform nonsense. I mean, it's pretty easy to refute. Moving on. And the Bible theme. This is kind of cool. More evidence of the flood. There's a flood tablet here. It tells how the gods determined to send the flood to destroy the earth. But one of them, EA Games, God, revealed the plan to Utanapis team, whom instructed to make a boat in which to save himself from the family. Isn't that interesting? Now, this guy's got a good point. All the flood stories pinpointed to one geography. Now, what's hilarious, talk about presuppositions. Watch the way different people take this. Let's see what. Oh, here's the naturalist. He comes in far more like all flood stories pinpointed the obvious. We now know civilization sprang up around large fertile river plains, the Nile, Tigris, Indus, and Euphrates. that flooded regularly to sustain that fertility. Floods were a yearly occurrence, so myths naturally grew up to warn of their dangers. Talk about an ad hoc rescue, dude. Going straight to hell. There's a special place in hell for people who make up ad hoc rescues, like especially like that. I mean, and it's just so condescending too. It's either these people are just so primitive, they can't tell between like the Nile flooding and worldwide catastrophe and flood. Like they couldn't relay that story. These people are just so stupid, right? These primitive cavemen. But we now know. We have science, right? Give me a break, dude. Here's another science believer, naturalist. I don't know what this guy is. Goaty Svan. I believe in asses. Asses. The holy powers of the tectonic people. Tectonic plates. I'm clergy and a devotee of my church of Asa True Folk Assembly. Dude, I gotta see what this guy's picture looks like. Give me a break. What? Can you believe this? He's holding a horn. Talk about cosplay, like role playing. Got a bottle of wine and a candle. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to be a clergy member of some weird made up religion? All you have to do is get yourself a bullhorn, a tablecloth over your black pajama set, and a bottle of Franzia's best. No, it isn't Franzia. It's Boone's Farms, ladies and gentlemen, and a cheap dollar store Kmart candle, and you too can be your own cult leader. He says a reminder that I could just hear, basically a reminder that Christianity set itself up as a morally superior alternative to the paganism of the utterly degenerate Roman elite is bizarre. Basically, per se, we now know because I've got my bullhorn and Boone's Farm. That's why. And Science Machine. Bullhorn Science Machine. Boone's Farm. Grody Swan says, we now... It's the we now know full... It's so funny. I was telling my students this. We're going over... we're going over logical fallacies today. And I had mentioned... I had a book somewhere of where I started writing out... I'll have to find it. It's such a mess over here. I'm going to show you. But I started writing out... Maybe I put it in my epistemology book. My own names for different fallacies. There's the Richard Dawkins... Or the fallacy also known as... My argument's super dumb, but I'm going to make it look really smart by putting an Oxford accent. Well, you see... We now do not believe in dusty fairy books. We now believe in the science because Sir Isaac Newton saved us from the dusty fairy books. It doesn't matter if he was involved in the occult. We now know. We now know through science. Praise be Galileo. Bring out the bullhorn and Franzia boxwine. We need a science seance. So, I told the class, not only is that the British accent fallacy, make my dumb argument and nonsense seem smart by putting it into an Oxford British accent. It's the we now know fallacy too, which I was telling him about. And then voila, Grody, our friend Grody's van illustrates perfectly the we now know fallacy. We now know where the people who wrote the Bible got this from. Also, this person points out that, or you realize that the embellishment points to the validity of the history recorded in the Bible. Yeah. But do you see how that one's presuppositions will determine how you would read that? Well, these guys all must be part of his cult, or they're all from India. I don't know what's going on here. Con man. Dude, that's actually pretty fun. Con man. There you go. This predates the Bible. Probably remembers the similar events, though. Ever hear of oral tradition? There was an event, and this was carried through orally. You finding somebody writing that oral tradition out on a stone that was older than what you might have found that's dated on the Torah. I don't even know if that's true, because I don't even know what this thing is here. Oh! It's here. Look at this. Talk about presuppositions. All along, we were reading into thinking that this was about the flood when it's actually just a piece of Cinnamon Toast Crunch that fell off of somebody's. Oh my gosh. We're totally gone insane. Well, my Cinnamon Toast Crunch flake predates yours. There you go. Cinnamon Toast Crunch theology there. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the documents. We've got the Cinnamon Toast right here. See how it works? Man, the news is amazing, isn't it? What are you guys saying? What's going on? What are our Cinnamon Toast Crunch devotees saying tonight? Who is having more fun than us? Certainly not this guy down here. Hey! What are you doing? My neighbors. I'm just kidding, there's nobody out there. Trust the science. Please like and share. Please send some more super chats. I figured I'd been away for so long that I'd just be like piling them in, super chats. I'm like, whoa, look at all this money. Now I can build my own science machine. To quantum leap into different times and save the world, talking to my invisible ayahuasca friend who only I can see because he's a hologram. Yeah, what was that? That was Quantum Leap. I made that up. See, what they don't realize is I actually made that up, then made my Quantum Leap science machine to travel back into time, and I told him to actually make that. After having my ayahuasca tea here. Isn't that amazing? All right, let's see what else is going on. I'm starting to get carried away here. This one's for the papists out there, who they have their own presuppositions on things here. What the one Holy Catholic Apostolic Church looked like in 381. This is the year of the Second Ecumenical Council, which was neither called for nor attended by nor even known about by Rome until after the fact. Better hide that, Rome. This guy says, Tom's Digest says, maybe I shot if this looks anything like, what? Roman Catholicism. So here you kind of have a graph. It's just, I always like kind of illustrations and graphs. Those in communion, right, with the green line, and broken communion. And then was this disputing occupant? I don't know what. So you've got Antioch and Jerusalem, communion with Carthage. Milan, you have St. Ambrose and St. Augustine. Rome. Okay, they're in communion. But Meletius is not in communion. There's a problem here. There's a broken communion concerning Meletius and Damasus in Rome, and also Timothy in Alexandria, see here the red line, and Antioch in Jerusalem. There was Carthage and Alexandria that was restored. It doesn't really look how the papists tell it looks. Oh, got our dear friend here, the real rye bread. Ybarra's last book calls the idea that Meletius was out of communion with Rome an Anglican fabricated argument. Another ad hoc rescue there. By the way, it is interesting. I keep bringing that up because we're going over in science class the philosophy of science. We just finished up Karl Popper's falsificationism, and then what's known is the next chapter we went into was sophisticated versions of, or sophisticated falsificationism. And it's talking about, so falsificationism was to replace the inductivists, because the problems of induction, you can't even get knowledge, and there's nothing rational or logical about deriving universal or general claims from a finite set of observations. It ends up being not only something that you can't even suggest as probable, but as David Hume points out, it actually ends up being viciously circular, is a reasonable justification. Well, all my inductions have worked in the past is an inductive argument. So it ends up being, and we went through this in really bad shape. So the falsificationist comes and says, well, science isn't supposed to, no theory in science can be established as true, but we certainly don't want induction, and we want to reject the inductivists, but we can have deduction, Because what we can actually do is we can falsify certain things. And then we can make deductions from, all swans are not white. We could throw that out, and perhaps we can make some progress in terms of science, but always with the caveat, no theory or hypothesis could ever be true. But there nevertheless could be progress. It's really interesting. And one of the things that they want is that a theory should be very falsifiable. How do you make something really falsifiable? You make it include as many things as possible, the widest kind of claims. So, for example, this hypothesis is to be preferred over the latter hypothesis because it's more falsifiable. That is, all planets orbit in ellipses. I'm trying to pull out my Kepler here. Because I'm going through. That is more falsifiable than Mars orbits an ellipse. You see, it includes more details. There's more planets than just one. So, it's to be preferred. Now, in this conversation came up what's known as ad hoc modifications. So the idea, first let me rewind, the idea in the falsificationism and the falsificationist is that I want my hypothesis to be as easily refuted as possible without being refuted. So highly falsifiable, but survives all the tests. Now, so for example, let's suppose I come up with a hypothesis that's highly falsifiable. All bread nourishes. And then somebody says, yeah, but in this town called St. Elmo in France, it didn't nourish. The people ate the bread and they died. The opposite of nourishment. Watch this. All bread, except in St. Elmo, France, nourishes. That's an ad hoc modification. Now, the problem with that, though, is that could never be actually tested within the original hypothesis. Okay, it should be rejected. So ad hoc modifications should be rejected. So that's just kind of an application to science that I was just thinking here. But people in philosophy and theology do ad hoc modifications and ad hoc rescues all the time. And here you have a perfect example. Ooh, look at that. What am I doing? Oh, here. That the real rye bread points out, which is interesting because he's from France and he's talking about rye bread that in St. Elmo. Is that a coincidence? I think not. That caused the St. Elmo's fire. He cannot be trusted, ladies and gentlemen. No, he can be trusted. We support him. When it contradicts my thesis or hypothesis or my theory, just add an ad hoc modification, ladies and gentlemen. Well, obviously that was an Anglican fabricated argument. But then the real Rybed suggests or points out, but then that still leaves Meletius and Paulinus in indirect communion with one another through Rome. It goes on, and that would make Rome the only ecclesiological inconsistent party in the whole affair. Great point. By supporting supporting both opposing sides of the controversy. Bam! QED refuted. Isn't that cool? So I thought you guys would enjoy that. Also, what's really cool, speaking about falsificationism and ad hoc and these different things, my classes actually, I've given them an assignment of refuting flat earthers. Maybe that's going to make some of you mad. But too bad. Flat earthers are fake and gay. And it's just bad reasoning. That's why somebody was asking, like, why does that bother me so much? I mean, look, I'm the first to say we didn't go to the moon, but like flat earthers, I'm telling you, it's because unless you've read all these books, look at, I have. I'm doing a Jay Dyer here. Now I don't have the yellow stickies here, right? But I've done the work. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the documents. This is my notes from undergraduate, dude. Every single proof of Ptolemy, of Copernicus, of Kepler, Galileo. Look at, here's my work. Check it out, dude. I've done it. Newton. Archimedes, Euclid. Now, those aren't astronomy, but they're the foundations for. And gone through all of that so you know how science works. You know how Eratosthenes, proof for the circumference of the earth, right? I'm not gonna trust you. And I can easily, once you do this kind of work, right? Once you kind of think through it, it's easy to spot that there's just fundamental errors in scientific thinking. And I'm talking real science. I'm not talking about science. And so, anyways, we were going through and I assigned my students this project. And they've been doing really good. So one of the things I want them to do is try to come up with refutations of flat earth, but then try to take the other side and be the flat earther and figure out how you would explain that. Every single time, ad hoc rescues and unfalsifiable hypotheses. In fact, there's a great documentary, and this is put forth by flat earthers, where these guys did well. They actually constructed an experiment that was a hypothesis that was highly falsifiable. So by scientific standards, I'm like, that's actually good. Knowing what the globalists, the globers, say about the curvature of the Earth, they knew that if they went out a certain distance, that things should drop, right? Now the problem is usually flat earthers are like, well, I went up and I can't see. But if you know anything about the history of science, using your eyesight, right, or taking things as they appear, is oftentimes misleading and false. So you need to design a kind of experiment that takes that into consideration, that takes those factors out and makes it more accurate. And they did. They had this where they had a board with a hole in it exactly like 3 feet above the ground. And then they took it out and they a certain distance where they knew if it was curved, that would decrease, right? It would. So you get what I'm saying? If it's curved, it would go down. And then they had another board that was lined up exactly at the same hole, right, but at a distance. And so they set up a highly falsifiable experiment, and to them, kudos and props. And then they took a laser, which was calibrated, and they realized they wanted to actually prove the globe, the curvature is wrong. And the way they would do that is they would shine the laser and it would go through the holes. Why? Because it's not curved if it's a flat Earth. And so this experiment can be repeated anywhere on, and had been in different places on the Earth. And guess what? Negative results. They actually had to lift it up by like, I forget how many feet to get which is great. And they didn't abandon their theory. They made another ad hoc. Well, it must be, and a classic ad hoc rescue there was an Aristotelian scholar arguing with Galileo. Now, Aristotle believed that all, and rightly so, the perfect geometrical figure is a sphere, a circle, and a sphere. And Galileo's telescope detected that the moon wasn't a perfect sphere, kind of destroying the Aristotelian kind of idea, this metaphysics of perfection within the planets and moons and spheres. In fact, there was mountains and valleys, and so the Aristotelian comes back and says, well, you see, there's actually an invisible substance that lines that, fills in all the cracks, so it ends up being a sphere. See how that works? And just like our quantum leap friend, so you're telling me your buddy from the past is a hologram. Yeah, but you can't see him. No, you can't see him. Only I can see him. Okay. And there's no tests we can do to detect it. No tests whatsoever. You're just going to have to take my word on that. This is the same with the flat earthers. And, look, we have scientists that are young earthers. We do. Not the majority, obviously. We even have scientists that are geocentrists. Where's my I even have some books on geocentrism, which I'd actually personally like to prove to be true. I'm working on that. I just need a little bit more time. I need to get over this Foucault's pendulum thing and figure out how to be able to work around that. There are no flat earth scientists. There's a bunch of people that are amateurs that make up CGI stuff and stupid models on the computer and think that's scientific. And what do? They create non-falsifiable theories, and they create ad hoc explanations. So I was having this conversation with the chair of philosophy, and because I think I know where this comes from. And then really interesting, the retired professor, who's a Jewish professor, comes in. And he's like, oi. He's like, I know where this comes. He's like, there's stuff in Hebrew literature, that in Hebrew schools that believed the earth was flat. Not all did. Or talked about like the firmament and stuff like that. People kind of speculated what that would look like and etc. But they weren't all in agreement on that. But then what was really interesting, Kabbalist literature and the Renaissance started drawing lots of pictures. In fact, it's, in diagrams, which was something typical of the Renaissance. I mean, even in Galileo Galilei's, look at this. They've got a picture at the beginning right here which says non solus, and it's Adam picking from the tree of knowledge, and non solus, not alone. In other words, I didn't do this alone. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants kind of thing. And so he had said in some of this Kabbalistic literature, they were started to draw and make diagrams of what they, the pillars of the earth and the firmament and stuff like that, where you got this uprise in popularity of flat earthers. Okay, now fast forward. You've got the internet, okay? And this confirms my theory, and they agreed with this. It comes out of evangelical circles. What do you see rising, becoming really popular in evangelical? Hebrew roots. So what am I saying? If you believe in flat earth, you are not Christian, you're a Kabbalist. Sorcerer making up ad hoc, unscientific, and no place in orthodoxy. Some people say like the fathers believed in flat earth. I've yet to find one. If you can name a father that believed in the flat earth. There's a big difference between, even if you could, an ancient back then versus now, again, going through all this. Oh, it all must be, because they're all in on it. All these people, NASA built a time machine, you see, and went back, and Galileo's actually the dude from Quantum Leap. He's actually back in the past now, and he's spreading this globalist atheistic lie that the Earth's a globe, right? And Ptolemy, and all the way back to Euthydemus. I mean, they're all they all work for NASA, right? They're the quantum leap. So anyways, I argue this has no place in Christianity. There's no place in good science whatsoever. And I have tons of actually other proofs other than just Euthydemus for refuting flat Earth. But also, I just want to make a point that it's not science. It's like literally just made up stories about. And COG computer model. See, look, if I have this little light thing here, and you see how the sun goes around, and that makes the... It's like, that's not how... Not to scale. None of that stuff's accurate. Anyways, I'm going on a harangue here. And part of this comes because it's a reaction to bad science. It's a reaction to frauds like the moon and stuff like that. Eratosthenes, yes. It's awesome, dude. It's an awesome proof. Like, of course I believe in gravity. Now, are you saying like how to describe gravity in terms of the inverse square law of Newton versus Einstein? I don't know. It's not too important for me to kind of figure that out. It's interesting though. All right, let's see. Let's move on. Let's see if we've got any Swiper chats. We do. Rachel sends $10. Yes. Thank you, science machine. Sending love, prayers, and fiat. I almost thought it says it flat. I was going to lose my mind if I had to see that word flat. See you in June. See you in June. Andrew and Rachel, my love and prayers. Thank you. Amptown1 donates $1. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Enough of me dealing with you Kabbalist flat earthers. Back to the news. Died suddenly. Here's another one. Just another coincidence. 19-year-old boy collapses. I saw one on the news today. Perfectly natural. Died from natural causes. Right? There's some guy on the news. 34 years old. Heart and jabbed. So sad. I mean, and they're going to bury and hide this stuff. So suppressed evidence, right? Talk about, and that's exactly what I write about in, where's my book? Come on. Let no one fear death. Where are you? So I'm using my Soylent scanner. Where? Did I loan it to somebody? No. Yeah, it's not very organized, is it? Oh! Right next to the soul after death. Let no one fear death. Plug it myself. You can buy that. I wouldn't do Amazon. I would go Uncut Mountain Press. Publishers of that. Bad science. And I explain that. How that works with the coof. So I'm a critic of science. I just know when somebody's thinking through good science and when is bad. Speaking of plugs, we come here. If you don't know, if you know, you know. If you don't, I want you to just cruise on over there to Butcher's Faith. It was almost like a Nick Cage there, which I just saw in Con Air last night. Events. If you don't know, look at this. Why is this thing not coming up? The Moitanica Conference. Orthodox Montanica Conference. Pan-Orthodox Conference has been announced. Seek first the kingdom of God. That is June 7th through 11th of 2023, the year of our Lord, at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church in Butte, Montana. 97 days to get your tickets. Now, let me just show you some of the speakers. There's a special guest speaker that hasn't been announced. I'm trying to build this up, right? But I'm going to put it up soon. But we need more people to purchase tickets. But keynote speaker, Bishop Maxime of Los Angeles and Western American Diocese, also Maximus scholar, who also went to the Sorbonne, specialized in patristics, and that is his parish right there, Holy Trinity. You know, he's resides in Alhambra at the cathedral there, but obviously Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church is one of his parishes. So early bird registration before April 21st is $140. Regular registration after that date is going to be $170. Children under 12 are free, and Orthodox priests and their families are free. You obviously need to write me, and we take a voluntary donation. But there's limited capacity, so get on that. Father Turbo Qualls, our own Father Turbo Qualls, your very own Father FDA, and such a treat. My dearest friend, and I owe so much to her, Abbess Emiliani. And yes, Kotel, David Patrick Harry returns, one of our very favorites. And by the way, don't forget to tune in tomorrow night on the Church of the Eternal Logos, where David Patrick Harry and I will be discussing Aristotle, the good, the bad, and the ugly of Aristotle. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow night. And you can just see here some of the schedule of events. People are coming in. Now, the reason why I raised the price is because I'm buying you more stuff. Costs money. Better food. Better stuff. More stuff. And that was one of the complaints I got was, you know what, your FDA, you're charging too little for the amount that you give. So what I thought is, I'm like, well, I'll charge just a little bit more and give even more. I mean, each year it gets better and better. Wednesday, there's no official events, but people are coming in and there's hotel check-ins and just meetups. We're just going to, the people here, events and things, on our own, just casual meetups that we're going to have fun. Thursday, arrivals. So some people are going to come in on Thursday, hotel check-ins, and then it's optional, but we're going to actually go down to Harrison, Montana, which is about an hour from the church, and go look at St. Peter's Monastery. And then we open up with the opening banquet dinner. That kicks off at 7 p.m. That kicks off officially the Montanica Conference, the Orthodox Montanica Conference. Friday, morning prayers. Breakfast is provided. Even better breakfast than last year. There will not be any oatmeal. There will be real breakfast. Now, you don't have to worry about fasting because this is a fast-free week. It means you must feast. Canon says so. That anybody who fasts during a feast be anathema. And we hold to those canons, especially at our conference. I'll give a talk, and then I'll introduce guest speaker 1. Then we have a lunch provided, very good lunch. Lots of meats, lots of good stuff. I made some really good, and we have a professional cook coming in too. One of our own parishioners, who's also a rocket scientist. So talk about science. Science, but not with soy, with real meat, Montana meat. Afternoon tours are on your own. You can do whatever you want. And if you want to check out stuff like that, some people just will chill at the church and just fellowship. No hurry for anything. Then people are free to find dinner on their own. But there will be, and Rachel's helping me with this, and some of the other ladies organizing this, a women's group dinner night. Now, that's not included within the price, but it's organized such that the women get a special night out together, just at fellowship. And then we return back, all of us, at 8 p.m. for an evening social and music hospitality night with a very special band that will be drinks, food, band. And then Saturday, day 2 of speakers, morning prayers, breakfast, another breakfast of champions provided for you, which Nika actually means conquer, champion in Greek. So breakfast of Nika, champions. Breakfast of conquerors. You are conquerors. You're spiritual warriors for Christ. Breakout groups. We have clergy groups. We have choir directors come. Women's groups. Mothers Club. Colo. But for everybody else, it's not part of those breakout groups. You're free to do whatever you want. Lunch. Then our guest keynote speaker, His Grace Bishop Maxime. More free time. Afternoon outings if you guys want to organize. We have Vespers at 5:30, 6:30. Then after Vespers, we have a closing banquet dinner. We didn't have banquet dinners before. And then we have evening meetups if you want to go out and explore some more of the Butte America, they call it. Then we have hierarchical liturgy Sunday at 10 a.m., a brunch that's provided for you, and departures. So you can come on here and right there, you can click right there and purchase your tickets. you'll also get in the price of marked down from $170 to $140 for the early bird price, access to all speaker sessions, all events, 8 total meals this time, a Montanica bag, a little tote bag with some goodies and surprises in there, recordings of the speaker sessions, and a discount code for our Comfort Inn, which is our official conference hotel just down the street. We also have a men's retreat in August for the dudes, for the guys. August 11th to the 13th. A little cheaper, in part because of the meals. There's not as many meals. There's only 6 meals. And this is kind of more of it's a retreat, right? So they've got to have as many kind of events and things. Early bird price $130, regular price registration at $160. Boys under 12 are free, and of course the same Orthodox priests and their families are free. We have His Eminence Metropolitan Jonah returning, and Father Abbot Trifon and Father Hans, and then and a lot of these we're going to do workshops, teach men how to be men. How your brother is your life. Fathers to be fathers. And some people even want to come up here for both, so we made a men's combo where for instead of $340 for $220, you get tickets to the June Montanica conference and so that's a great deal. We're really looking forward to that. And so you can find that on Patristic Faith. Make sure you get those tickets before they sell out. Our capacities was maxed out last year. And fire code regulate. We couldn't put any more people in, so I actually had to stop selling tickets at a certain number just because we couldn't fit all the people. And, each year, the first year I did this, we had 70 people. Last year we did this. We had anywhere from like 160 to 200. So over double. So you can see this year is going to be even more popular. So get on that. Also, good news. The prices of flights have come down. But you want to get on that early. Let's see. Any questions? What's going on? Yes. Joseph Chase will be there. Thank God. I'm so happy about that. Joseph Chase was there the first year. Was unable to make it last year because certain circumstances prevented that. And so he's going to be there for both those. So really looking forward. Obviously, Rachel Wilson and Andy will be with us in June, and Rachel will be heading up the women's activities and groups with some of the other ladies, but she's the point person. Thank you, Rachel. We thank you so much for that. And more clergy, too, will be in attendance. Yeah, oatmeal's out. We are doing protein. All right, let's see. I just wanted to give that shout out. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. We just found out YouTube is actually taking my subscribers. I've had several people write me this week saying I've been removed. This is the 6th time I've had to subscribe. It's been buried. People are saying I'm not getting any of your stuff, but even when I am subscribed, that's why I'm stuck at 8-something K. It just won't grow. Like I'm being persecuted. I'm being targeted and persecuted. That's why. Yeah, I hope Ryan. Oh my gosh, Ryan, if you could be up here, that would be awesome. My dear friend Ryan. I was thinking about you today. It was something I was going to tell you, and I'm trying to... What was it? Huh. I was going to text you something. I can't remember. It's me all day. I was like, what was that thing that rhymes with, do you hear this? Hold on, let me try to remember this. The medication I'm supposed to take for my dementia. What was the name? Just can't seem to... Help me out here. Something similar to a flower. Rhymes with flower. Name a flower. I feel like I'm Joe Biden here. Help me out. Trying to remember my dementia medicine I'm supposed to take. Oh, Advil's not a flower. Help me. Rhymes with flower. Daisy, no. Somebody says, Rose? Yeah, Rose, what's that dementia medicine I'm supposed to take? Do you get the joke? He's trying to remember his dementia name is dementia medicine, right? He's so lost in his mind. You think that it's like rhymes with like a flower or something like that. But he's trying to like, what rhymes with the flower? Name a flower, right? Because he's forgotten his wife's name, Rose. Because now once he said Rose, he calls Rose to help him remember. What's that dementia medicine I'm supposed to take? Forget me not flower. Good. That's my joke for... What joke? Tired of jokes. The dumb. At least they're clean. Right? They're clergy jokes, dude. Come on. Reginald has subscribed. Thank you. Keep subscribing, man. We gotta get... Guys... Yeah, maybe it was something... Ryan always helps me deconstruct my own humor. Because people oftentimes don't get it and don't find it funny. And I'm like, it's hilarious, dude. Patristic jokes. But part of it, I started realizing because I like to act out, like to be like really serious. Like I like the shock value of the. Like, is he telling a joke or is it real? And you can't tell, and then have to like explain to me like, dude, it's a joke, right? And part of that like shock where I can see like somebody's mind working, to me is funny. And maybe that's the only reason why I tell jokes is not to make people laugh, but I just like make myself laugh. I don't know. I have a type of absurdism too that. But anyways, enough. Enough of me. Let's go back to the news. All right, blessed evening, man. Yeah, let's talk soon. And back to the nightly news. What's this stuff David Moran had met, like did a whole thing on based Islam? Are you kidding me? So all these guys are going around and they're like, dude, so based. Islam's so based, dude. They don't even put up with it, based, right? Do you see? Have you seen this? It's going around. Based Islam. I mean, it just reminds me of, like, the dialectics of opposition, right? Dude, those guys are idiots. The other side that's created by them is so much better than opposition, is so much better. Oh, it's so based. Dude, hound the hell upstairs. Do you hear that? That's my holy water, dude. Seriously, dude. Dogs here. Demon dogs. So loud. Okay, so let's look. Well, what are you guys saying? Do you see this going around? Based Islam. Dude, so based. Dude, communists are so based. Taliban so based, dude. So, I'm just going to show you how based Islam is. Okay? From our boy David there. Dude, so here's your based Sodom and Gomorrah Islam. David says Western influence secularism are all evil. Yeah, sure, we agree. That is why whenever Bayes Muslims get political power, they always make sure they vote for liberalism because they don't ask questions, bro. Okay, trust me, Sharia will save the West. This paid shill on YouTube told me so. Look at this. Yeah, dude, so based. I'm a Muslim and I'm proud of my faith. I don't use my faith as a basis for legislation. After leadership rival Kate Forbes reveals she wouldn't have voted for the equal marriage bill, Hamza Youssef tells Andrew Mars 9 that despite his religious, he supports equal marriage. Based, dude, so bad. Oh yeah, dude, they're totally gonna like. Of course, you have her from Minnesota. Happy Pride Month. So based, dude. It's so based. I came from Fullerton, California, before I came out to Montana. And they're flying the Sodomite flag on the City Hall, which technically is against the Huntington Beach just passed a law saying you can't. Like everybody's like so pissed, but you can't fly Sodomite flags on any public or government building. That's based. And that's because the only flags that are allowed are the state flag, the city, if the city has a flag, or the U.S. flag. Not a Sodomite flag, dude. So now everybody's like, oh no, Huntington Beach, they're all bigots. Fullerton was the first one to kick this off, which was actually technically illegal. They started flying a Sodomite flag at City Hall because they had their first gay Muslim, I forget what office. It wasn't mayor. Wasn't mayor? Somebody from Fullerton? You're from Orange County. You know this. They just turn a blind eye to it, and then it establishes a precedent. Like the next city's like, well, we can do it. Nobody else is going to complain. So there you go. There's your based Islamist, the Fullerton's first civic sodomite Muslim. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of bring that home. Got the London sodomites, Muslims over there too. What else do we have on tonight's agenda? New news. Lori Lightfoot returns back to her day job. Huh. But you didn't see this. I had no idea. Lori Lightfoot, you know who she is, right? Speaking about civic servants. But I bet you didn't know what her day job was. She returned back. She actually works for Bass Pro. There you go. Lori Lightfoot can now return to her day job as floor model. She was a floor model for Bass Pro Shops. I did not know that. Huh. Okay, just a little, humor there for you. I feel like it's time to take my magnesium supplements. What do you guys take for sleep? I take L-theanine, 2 magnesium supplements, and if I feel really crazy, a valerian. Yeah. Maybe some of that, some nice chamomile tea. Yeah, all natural, dude. Just type in your promo code J50 and you can get... No, I'm kidding. Where's Jay? I thought you were going to be in here, dude. I'm giving you a hard time and you're not even in the chat. Is he doing a stream? Jay, where are you? Oh, we lost him on the front lines of the Don Boss report. Yeah, rip. Forgot. Memory Eternal Jay. Some of our best work by a reporter on the front lines. Jay Dyer. We started the stream off with that, right? My sleep's been incredible since I cut out alcohol for Lent. Alcohol's just not good for you. Yeah, I feel I have so much more energy. Yeah, give us a good Lent, Lord. Let us struggle through these days, these 38 more days. Anyways, I want to find... one more thing. No, I'm going to do a couple more. I want to give a shout out to my friend here, who's also going to come up to Montanica. My friend Shane Swenson, ladies and gentlemen. Look what he just finished. Isn't this cool? Finish it up today. 8 3/4 by 10.5 icon of St. Paisios. Bail for $6.75 shipped. So his plan, Shane's gonna come up, hopefully sell some of his icons at the conference, and even be here to talk. So thank you, Shane. We've got I'll stay in contact with you if you're watching. And moving on. Get a grip. Get a grip. Get a. Greta grip. Greta. Exposed. She's been arrested in Norway. She was protesting wind farms. She go, dude. Well, she's taken up a new cause, ladies and gentlemen. She's now advocating for the Sami people. That is also known as Laplanders. The indigenous people group in Norway, as it turns out. And she gets herself arrested. Congratulations, Greta Grip. Greta. This oppressor group is assumed to be well, so in our case, the oppressor group is made up of... Oh, surprise, surprise. I'm not even going to read it, dude. How did I know? See if I have one more piece of news before we end this. Two more. One more after the one more. Okay? And then I'll take super chats from you and read them. Okay. I just want to remind you, it's always good to kind of take inventory on the last, it's been 3 years since the Koof hysteria. 10 Koof myths that are now debunked. Let's just take a stroll down memory lane of the lies that they told us that even by the experts now are debunked. Number 1. Natural immunity offers little protection compared to vaccinated immunity. Debunked. Number 2, myth, debunked. Mass prevent Koof transmission. Debunked, ladies and gentlemen. Randomized studies show that that's not true. In fact, I have a whole list of studies that show that not only do they not prevent, they didn't do anything. Yet we still have the maskers running around. Debunked. Debunked. 3, school closures reduce Koof transmission. Wrong. Transmission rates were no different, evidenced by studies conducted in Spain and Sweden. Debunked. Myth 4, myocarditis from the vaccine is less common than from the infection. Wrong. They made this one up. It's Jonathan Frakes. Believe it or not, or whatever that show. No, we made this false. Wrong. We made this one up. Not this time. Wrong. Complete fabrication. We now know that myocarditis is 6 to 28 times more common after the Koof than among the infection among 16 and 24-year-olds. Tens of thousands who are likely got myocarditis, right? And I could go into details about like VAERS and stuff like that. It's actually much higher than that. So debunked. Myth 5 debunked. Young people benefit from the vaccine booster. Debunked. White House pressure to recommend boosters for all was so intense the FDA's top 2 vaccine experts left the agency in protest. That's why the CDC does not publish their data on hospitalization rates among boosted Americans under 50. Isn't that interesting? Hiding it. Hiding the crimes. Debunked. 6, vaccine mandates increased vaccination rates. They did not. Debunked. Myth 7. Coup originated from Wuhan is a conspiracy theory. Debunked. That's what's going on right now, right? We're seeing... But we're supposed to trust these people, right? Number 8. It was important to get this second vaccine dose 3 to 4 weeks after the first dose. No. Wrong. 9. Data on bivalent vaccine is crystal clear, they said. Dr. Ash. Dr. Ashi Jaja. Hello, my friend. You must trust my science. My friend. My friend. The data are crystal clear. The young people should not have been get the bivalent vaccine. In fact, many lives would have been spared and suffering from myocarditis. 10. Number 10 myth. 1 in 5 people get long COVID. Nope. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention claims that 20% of COVID infections result from long COVID. Remember they're talking about this? Boosting up long COVID. Long COVID. It's long COVID, dude. It's often experience mild fatigue or weakness for weeks after being sick and inactive, not eating well. Calling these cases long COVID is a medicalization of ordinary life. What's most amazing about the misinformation conveyed by the CDC and public health officials is there has been no apologies, exactly, for holding the recommendations for so long after the data became apparent that they were dead wrong. Public health officials said, you must, when the correct answer should have been, we're not sure. Early on, the absence of good data, public health officials chose a path of stern paternalism. Today, we're in denial of amount. There's people still just like, doesn't matter what the evidence that comes out showing everything that I've said the last 3 years has been vindicated true. When I was being called, getting hate mail and being called a conspiracy theorist, people trying to defrock me and get me fired from my jobs and stuff like that. All proved true. No apology letters. People who lost their jobs were forced to choose between income, life, and a jab, were fired. People kicked out of school, lost their... No apology letters. The recommendation is that although you can't sue the pharmaceutical industries, these universities, the public health and medical industries, and these companies should be sued into non-existence. They all should be shut down. And the lawyers are lining up waiting to take your lawsuit if you're out there. But I'd be happy to see an end to the universities. Even though I'm in the university, it's a diabolical brainwashing. And it's just so sad that they were fully on board with ruining people's lives like this and forcing them to, all based on fabricated lies that is now patently, obviously false. It's all the stuff come out from their own people. No apologies whatsoever. Let's bury it. Let's pretend it never happened. There's people, you can go on Twitter, you find people in your own communities. It's like you bring this stuff up and it's like they're living back in 2020. Like they've never even heard of all the stuff that's come out proving them wrong. That's how powerful the machine actually is. Lord help us. Speaking of death, I'll end with this, because it is Lent. It's always good to keep our mind on death, but not in the way these people. But as Christians, we do not fear death. Let no man fear death. But keeping our mind on death, as one monk on Mount Athos said, we're going to die, we're going to die, we're going to die. Keep our mind. Prioritizes the need for repentance. But these folks have a different view. Here's Jane Goodall and her death cult, her Malthusian death cult. We can solve all the world's problems if we reduce the world population to where it was 500 years ago. And somebody at IOTA thought it was a good idea to invite her to the conference in Greece at an Orthodox. You know who would be great? What's the name of? So let's say you had let's say you had a choice. We've got a choice to invite different people to an Orthodox conference. Joseph Mengele, the Angel of Death, or Jane Goodall, the gorilla lady who is part of that death cult, that Malthusian death cult. That'd be great. That's great for Orthodoxy. Thank God she didn't come. But what in the heck? Jane Goodall? Look at these people. Eliminate the population. God said, go forth, be fruitful, and multiply. It's satanic to... Anyways, with that, what say you? Let's take a super chats. How many super chats? Come on, what's going on? Wrong, it never happened. Nobody died. Nothing to look at you. Wrong, it never happened. I knew this. We were talking about this in philosophy science class, and one student got really. I didn't think they liked what I was saying, but that's all right. They can. I always say to my students, you can always tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. You can correct me. But we're going over something in falsificationism, and one of the problems is that we're saying, well, the falsificationist says that a theory or hypothesis should be more falsifiable than the other, highly falsifiable. But it's a classic. Next question comes up. Well, how much more? What does highly falsifiable mean? And we found a way to the falsificationist is able to get around that they don't have to actually quantify that to make a qualitative analysis. One's greater or less than the other. And I could see one student was struggling with this. He didn't know how we could possibly say something's greater or less than another thing unless we were able to number it in some way and say that it's 5 times greater, 3 or 2, quantitative. And so I used an example of Moss's scale of hardness, if anybody's familiar with that, where you can determine how hard a stone is or a substance by basically, if this can scratch this substance, but this substance can't scratch this, then this becomes harder. And you can go down the line, substances and all the way up, probably to a diamond or something like that. And the student says, well, no, we have machines now that can press, that do that, and it shows exactly the number. And I'm like, Moss didn't. So I'm not saying later you can't attribute numbers, but notice I was able to make a scale of hardness of greater and less without quantifying it. And then we do this with, let's say, color intensity. It was another example. The student was really struggling with this. It was really strange. your friends. You have two friends engaged in a destructive lifestyle, but one far more. And you say, my friend's doing a lot worse. You think somebody's going to come be like, well, you can't say that unless you put a number. How much? 5, 10 times worse? If you can't put a number, then you can't say that. No, of course, we make these things all the time. I bring it back because 3 years ago, I'm arguing with an Orthodox lady who was a nurse, like total wacko Branch Covidian. And we got to do everything I read you that was debunked. We got to do this. We got to do that. We're saving lives. 10 trillion people are dying. We have to shut down the schools. We have to board up the buildings. Nobody can walk on the streets. Everybody has to live in a plastic bubble with masks on. We were already, especially clergy, starting to see the effects of the psychological effects, the suicide rates were going up, alcohol, drug abuse, pornography, long-term serious problems. Not to even mention whatever developmental problems in terms of children taking them out of school for that long. It became patently obvious to us clergy who work with people in those kind of areas that whatever bad consequences that you were trying to prevent by taking these kinds of measures with the coup, the side effect has become far worse. So this lady says, how much? What number? Can you quantify it? I'm like, no, I don't have to actually. I mean, maybe down the line I could, but I don't have to quantify something by a number to know that something's worse than another thing. And this student had thought, like, no, that's wrong. You can't. Otherwise, it's just subjective. And so I gave these different examples. I'm like, no, we can't. We make these things all the time. Now, if you ask me, how do you know that? I might go into exactly what I go into in here, right? That, in terms of like, I might actually use some numbers or something like that. I might use presuppositions and kind of go through something like that. I might give a theory of knowledge about how this kind of stuff works, about like how can people intuitively be able to make these kinds of analysis in an objective way that one thing's worse or greater than another. I can make those arguments. A nurse can't. A Branch Covidian nurse can't do this. Anyways, that's what kind of came up. I can't remember why I actually brought that. That somebody made a statement, and you got me on my ADD tangent. Anyways, there you go. There's my story for tonight, relating it all back to philosophy, science, epistemology, geopolitics. Thank you for joining tonight, the nightly news, where we did cover Galileo, Copernicus, Kepler, Ptolemy, Einstein, Newton, flat earthers, the philosophy of science, orthodoxy, iconography. What else did we do? Falsificationism, Karl Popper, the inductivists, David Hume, Montanica, the Montanica Men's Group, our lost correspondence on the Donbass, Jay Dyer, who brought us the first evening news, was Zelensky. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the nightly news this Wednesday, March 1st, 2023. I thank you for all your super chats. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Got to get my subscribers because algorithms and YouTube is persecuting me. I have been persecuted. And I wish all of you a blessed rest of the week in Lent. And can't wait to see you guys again. Oh, we covered Quantum Leap too. We did some film analysis. Good times. And we never did figure out what the original theme song that I started with. It almost sounds like Quantum Leap. But that is forever lost until I get my Elon Musk Neuralink uploaded to retrieve all my data. The lost data. Okay, God bless, guys. Thank you. Pray for me. My prayers for you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Bless this evening, this night, that it may be without sin and without offense. Grant this to us, Savior, and save us. The prayers of our Holy Fathers, Lord Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy upon us and save us. Amen.